Now calm returns to the streets of Sri Lanka's commercial capital, Colombo. This a day after unprecedented protests in the country. On the streets, the protesters, they were jubilant as President Gotabaya Rajapaksa agreed to step down. After his house was stormed amid outrage over the South Asian nation's crumbling economy, President Rajapaksa says he would step down on the 13th of July. Now this development comes after tens of thousands of demonstrators rocked the island nation, bringing the country to a complete standstill. Sri Lanka's parliamentary speaker said on Saturday that the president had decided to step down, bowing to public pressure.
I personally informed the president about the decisions made at the party leaders' meeting today. He agreed to implement those decisions. Also, he informed me and asked me to tell the country that he will resign on July 13th to ensure a peaceful handover of power. Therefore, there is no need to destabilize the country any longer.
Meanwhile, President Gotabaya Rajapaksa has reportedly fled after protesters stormed into his residence. Now, angry demonstrators broke into the presidential secretariat. They first surrounded the secretariat, then clashed with the police before forcibly making their way into the president's house. The country is currently witnessing one of the largest anti-government protests in recent days. Anger among the people has been rising for months, which yesterday reached its peak. Demonstrators also stormed Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe's private home in Colombo to voice their anger, following which the house was set on fire. Wickremesinghe has also offered to resign, however, on one condition, that an all-party government is formed prior to his departure.
මම ජනාධිපතිතුමා යෝජනා කරේ සර්ව පාක්ෂික ආණ්ඩුවක් ඇති කරන්න. අද මේ රටේ ඉන්ධන ප්‍රශ්න තියෙනවා. ඒ වගේම ආහාර හිඟයක් තියෙනවා. මේ සඳහා ආහාර වැඩසටහනේ ප්‍රධානිය ලංකාවට එනවා. IMF සංවිධානයේ සමග වැදගත් කරුණු කීපයක් සාකච්ඡා කරන්න තියෙනවා. ඒ නිසා මේ ආණ්ඩුව ඉවත් වුණාම වෙන ආණ්ඩුවක් එවලෙම අපි පත් කරන්න උවමනයි. රටේ ආණ්ඩු පාලනයක් නැතුව ආණ්ඩුවක් නැතුව මේ අවස්ථාවේදී ගෙනියන එක වැරද්දක්. ඉතින් මේ ආණ්ඩුව මම යලිත් කියනවා මේ ආණ්ඩුව ඉවත් වෙනකොට තව අලුත් ආණ්ඩුවක් තියෙන්න ඕනේ.
Reports also suggest that two Sri Lankan ministers, they've resigned from their posts following the protest. Sri Lanka is facing, as you know, its worst financial meltdown since its independence. With months of frequent power outages, acute shortage of food, fuel and medicines, the crisis has hit majority of the common households. Foreign exchange reserves have dropped exponentially, and practically with no money, the government has had to seek help from its allies and the IMF to keep the country afloat. However, despite some crucial attempts to revive the economy and shift of power within the government, nothing significant has been achieved so far. Now, the country which saw massive demonstrations yesterday, it's now slowly returning to normalcy. WION has been tracking all the developments straight from ground zero. Our correspondent, Sunia Thoda, has got us an exclusive access to Lankan Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe's residence. Take a look at this report.
What you are seeing is the exclusive footage of the aftermath following what transpired at Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe's private residence last night. This is one of his official vehicles that has now been completely damaged and destroyed. I have personally been to this location, which is one of the most highly guarded and security-driven locations in Colombo, provided that Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe, even after taking over the reins of Prime Minister, opted to reside at his private residence and not at the official residence, which is known to be the Temple Trees of Colombo. The fire appears to have done some serious damage to this property. Just several months ago, I did visit here for an interview itself, and on a previous occasion, Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe himself was seen saying that this specific property, which is his private residence, will be bequeathed to his alma mater, one of the most prominent schools here in Sri Lanka, where he has expressed his interest to hand over this property, especially a library, which is known to be of great value and importance. So it is quite alarming to see that this entire property has now been completely engulfed by the fire, and that this all-important library is also destroyed.
Also, for more on this, we were earlier joined by Dr. W.A. Vijayawardena from Colombo. He is a former Deputy Governor, Central Bank of Sri Lanka. Let's listen in.
In fact, what happened was that, there had been attempts by the police and armed forces to prevent the protesters from approaching the president's secretariat. They had tear gas and also water cannoned the protesters several times to prevent them from coming there. But their number had been swelled every minute. As a result, the police and the armed forces could not withstand the people's power that had been pushing them backward. So as a result, they had to allow the protesters to come and occupy the two places. It does not mean that the government has fallen. The government is still there. There is still the same military commanders, same army commanders, same IGP, same parliament. So therefore, if a new government is to be set up with all the parties in Sri Lanka and to take over the new administration, that should be done immediately, because there is no government right now. Anybody can do anything without being caught by any of the legal enforcement officers there. So Gotabaya Rajapaksa may be, I think, buying time, in my view.
WION is now available in your country. Download the app now. Get all the news on the move.